You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.
Hello, I'm Ross Hancock and you join me here at the Britannia Stadium in the Wanton Suite, where I'm here for Six Towns Radio for a mastermind evening with a twist. It's a Stoke City twist, of course. Stoke City Ladies, the Community Trust and the Old Boys are all here tonight to help raise some much needed funds for the ladies and the Community Trust. Now joining me is a player that loves Stoke so much he came back 3 times. It's Andy Griffin. Thanks for joining us. I want to ask first of all about ladies football. Obviously tonight's fundraiser for Stoke City Ladies and the Community Trust. Have you watched much of the ladies football?
I'm not going to lie. No, unfortunately I haven't. So
that's like...
maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Yeah. Well, the other benefactor is obviously the Community Trust. So how important is football in the community for a club like Stoke City?
Well, I think it's important for football in the community because football can be so powerful. It can bring people together. It can take children away from troubled environments. And like I said, I think just generally football can be so powerful and it can be so invigorating. It can be rewarding and it can help people and it can change people's lives.
When you came back to Stoke on loan for the second time, you came back for the season, it wasn't the promotion season, but then after that season you decided to join Derby. Was it a tough choice between choosing Derby and Stoke? Was there an offer on the table from Stoke?
Yes, there was. There was an offer off Stoke, which was a very good offer. I spoke to basically Tony and I said, look, because what had happened is I'd kind of agreed to come to Tony, to speak to him, and I was more or less in my heart and my head joining Stoke City. Then Harry said to me basically that Derby County had come in, it was a chance to play in the Premier League, and I could also live at home, which was the big thing. I wanted to be at home, so it kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works. So I went and spoke to Derby. Well, I spoke to Stoke, more or less agreed my contract. When I spoke to Derby, I agreed my contract there, and there wasn't much difference between the two contracts at all. So it wasn't really a decision based on money. It was a decision based on my head and the fact that I was, 1, able to live at home, and 2, I was able to play in the Premier League, which I'd like to think a lot of people can see where I'm coming from there. But as soon as I went to Derby, I knew it wasn't right, because I'd basically made a decision with my head. If I made a decision with my heart, it would have went to Stoke. Yeah. And of a few weeks of being there, I was wanting to come back to Stoke, and fortunately enough, Tony made that happen in January. So.
Yeah. And whilst we're on the topic of Stoke, obviously it's mentioned on stage in the Mastermind event, the wonder goal, I'd say, against Coventry in the fog. What are your memories of that goal, and of your time at Stoke? What were your best memories?
I think, my time at Stoke, even if I go back as far as, being an under-14s player, under-15s, under-16s, just being involved with a club like Stoke, because I was a Wigan boy, I'd been at Wigan schoolboys, and it was such a leap to Stoke City. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then there was the YTS side of it, which was a bit of adventure. You're moving house and you're wrapped up with your mates. And then obviously you look at the my debut. Then obviously when I come back and we got promoted, made captain, which was a privilege, which was an honour. And yeah, the goal in the fog. And I remember, I think it was Marshall in that. He said to me, if it wasn't foggy, I might have got that. Who knows?
I don't agree.
Who knows?
And unfortunately, come towards maybe the last few years of your career, and you're at Doncaster Rovers at the moment. You're not making the first team, playing for the development squad, as it were. Have you got any plans for post-retirement, maybe coaching or something like that?
This is a question that I'm kind of getting asked a lot. Yeah. Obviously, I'm getting on now, and you're coming to the end of your football career. And yeah, it's something I think about every day, and I have done for maybe the past year. And I think I need to start being a little bit more proactive, because it's coming quite quick. The answer is no. I'm not quite sure on what I want to do. I think I will do my badges, but whether I will put them into practice, who knows. So it's a little bit up in the air at the moment. So I'll have a little bit of time out of football and then see what comes to me. I'm not quite sure.
It's a bit of a safety net, isn't it, the badges? Sort of something to fall back on, isn't it?
Well, the thing is football's everything I've ever known. I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket, and through hard work, sacrifices, a little element of luck, everything worked out well, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, so it kind of makes sense to go into coaching and do your badges, because all the knowledge that you've picked up along the way you can then transfer onto the young lads and so on and so on. But I think a little bit of me is thinking, well, maybe I just want a little bit of a time out because I've got 3 children, so I'm not exactly sure yet on what's going to happen.
And finally, we'll just wrap up on this, because obviously a mastermind evening. So what I want to know is, who's the smartest player that you've ever played alongside, and who is the, should we say, least intelligent?
The smartest player I ever played alongside, and he was a true gentleman and a great guy, and I think a lot of people would say this, and unfortunately he's passed away. That would be Gary Speed. He was full of useless knowledge. He was full of effective knowledge. He was a very, very bright guy. The thickest player I've played with a few.
Yeah.
So I think that list would be quite big. I don't know. I was going to say Rory, but I don't think I would put Rory. I think that would be a bit harsh to say he's a bit thick. So I apologise about that, Rory. I'm not saying you're thick or anything like that. A bit clumsy at times, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think there can be a bit of a list there regarding thick.